I'm Darian Pizem,
Simon Rahme.
and we've come together as Team Blockbusters. We're here today to discuss blockchain and the real-world challenges we have found by building a cryptocurrency blockchain company, and the facts and the challenges and the outcomes we've discovered.
That's right. So coming from tech yourself too, we know that it's just a fad, but also a revolution at the same time. Everyone's talking about these cryptocurrencies. It's annoying me. Facebook, emails, everything is just crypto. And actually crypto stands for cryptology, but these guys have stolen the name and canned it as cryptocurrencies. So one of our advisors and team members, Phil Zimmerman, is really pissed off about this.
And that's kind of the premise of where we've come from. So I had my own tech innovation company, an incubator for 8 years, and Simon, you had yours, and I think 9 years, and that was our common bond that bound us and our vision together. I was playing in the AR VR space, and Simon had been playing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for a couple of years, and we didn't know which decision to make, and we said whatever decision we make, we need to make sure it's a decision that's going to improve things for the next 5 to 6 to 10 years. It's got to be very meaningful if we were going to go together on this journey. And that's when we created Blockbusters. And Blockbusters was really about building amazing marketplaces using blockchain, and also changing the status quo and creating asset-backed blockchains. And that's where the journey started.
Yeah, I mean, we've been taking full advantage of this app tech boom, and it's been doing really well, for the last 8-9 years. But this year, leading on to last year, was the first time that apps went backwards in number. What are there? 4+ million apps out there. How many do you use? 10, 15? So it's been a good industry to take advantage of in terms of everyone's trying to jump on it. One person makes a lot of money very easily. Everyone looks at it and says, oh, I can do that, just slightly differently. Exact same thing is happening with crypto. People came in, made $24 million in an hour, and everyone else says, I can do that. That's why we have 1,700 different cryptocurrencies.
And I think the most important thing to realize, and I think it's a big misconception, is that, the app boom, the tech boom, .com boom, etc., the people that were really influential in those eras have always stayed influential, and people think it's very easy to make an app and go to market. And we've been doing this for a long time, and it's actually a really hard challenge because it's a multi-dimensional business. Before you just run your shop, you didn't have technology, and technology's just added layer upon layer. And we realized there's a very strong conversation there around streamlining that and building fantastic products that are actually going to be future-proofed and actually evolve marketplaces. And how do you validate those processes in that value chain to actually build stronger products that can support marketplaces without being clunky?
Yeah, 100%, which is why we're looking at the asset-backed space. So just like there's a purge going on in the app world, there will be a purge in the cryptocurrency world. All the apps that weren't useful got annihilated, and all the cryptocurrencies that won't be useful will be filtered out, right? So that's why we've specialized in asset-backed, because those tokens are the only ones that can't hit zero. So this puzzles a lot of people. They go, I don't understand how Bitcoin's worth $20,000 US. Essentially, it's worth $0, right? Yes, there are points going both ways, but an asset-backed cryptocurrency has the price floor of its underlying asset. So it can never hit zero. It's always got worth, and as the asset that it's tied to goes up, so does it.
Yeah, I don't want to get people too confused as well, because people hear cryptocurrency, blockchain, and they have the conception that it's really complicated, I think, and we come across that all the time, you know. And I think importantly that, you know, this has been around for thousands of years. Villages were using this simple roadmap to actually account for items in their village, and it's just a simple way for people to act and make accountable transactions that are put on one ledger so people can see them in the village. And it's simple. It's as simple as that. People like to complicate it with all these fancy brands and different, you know, ideas or different ways to use it. But it's really a transactional process, and it just makes it transparent for everybody to see.
That's right. It's been used for thousands of years. It's a public ledger, which means the data of who owns what and who has sent what to who is not centralized in one place. It's distributed amongst many places. So that's why these smart contracts are so spoken about and there's so much hype around it, because they can be used for anything.
Like voting is an amazing opportunity.
Ownership's another big one, right? So if someone were to hack the system per se, if someone wanted to change the ledger, they would have to change it on more than 51% of the places it's stored at the same time. So if you wanted to hack a bank, there wouldn't be many places you'd have to go to because all the information is centralized in 1 or 2 or 3 spots. Whereas blockchain, it's decentralized, meaning the ledger, the information, is spread around millions of nodes, which means if someone were to hack how much money you have in your bank account or your vote or the car that you own or the assets you own, they would have to hack 500,002 computers to actually change that value.
And I mean, that conversation kind of segues into IoT, and that's something, you know, we've both worked in quite extensively. And I think that people also miss out that, you know, they don't understand the full potential of IoT and where it actually exists. And realistically, it's anything that's plugged into the Internet of Things.
It's got a huge potential, that's
massive.
Right. But its biggest downside is security. You know, like you were saying before to me, if someone has 7 appliances in their house that's on IoT, it's on the network, on the internet, if one of them gets compromised, even if it's just a light bulb, then that can take down the entire system. Sure. However, that biggest challenge of security is overcome by the blockchain. Like I was saying before, if you wanted to hack one of your light bulbs to get into the rest of the system, you'd have to hack into half plus a few more to actually get into your system. So if every neighborhood, if every country has its own blockchain, then it would be far too difficult to hack.
That leads me on to discuss our T-Coin, who we happen to be working with at the moment, and the different ways that you can use assets to create currencies. And what they've done is take tech metals and merge different tech metals that you need for your mobile phone, for your electric car, for your drone, for your robotics, and merge them into one coin because they can see the growth of this marketplace and how stable that coin would be in the marketplace if you could back tech metals, because obviously we all know that tech is growing so rapidly.
That's right, it's everywhere. Gold is in circuitries, cathodes in batteries are majority cobalt, Teslas, drones, all these tech metals are everywhere, from tin, aluminium, platinum. So like you were saying, these metals really do power the tech industry.
And then, I mean, like, you know, we're experimenting in that in different markets that we work in. And I mean, one of the ones that I love that I think is really simple, but it shows extreme value, is the diamond industry and how they value diamonds from now the crack of the mine to the cutter to market, and the whole origin for the user and the existence of where that's come from and where that product's come from. Correct. And how simple it is through just using a blockchain and logging that diamond from once it comes out of the crack.
Correct.
And actually looking at the value of its growth, helping stabilize that market, the authenticity of, you know, the grey market.
Yep.
And that's a really simple way, but I love the way it can explain and be explained, and show people how simple it is.
Yeah, that transparency is incredible, which leads us to the next very important thing that I was telling you before too, is that governments will have no choice but to adopt this, because the blockchain in many industries, horizontals and verticals, does the government's job better, right? So just like Uber came out and was illegal, the government slowly realized that, hey, hold on, Uber is regulating that industry better than we are. It's got more transparency, it's safer, and it creates opportunities to make more money for the government, right?
And their accountability is really just for consumer law.
Correct.
They don't have to fit to any law, anything. So as long as they're doing the best thing by the consumer, they can really exist. And they're very hard to, govern or take care of, or, not take care of. What am I talking about? Like, just govern and manage in new environments and new districts.
That's right. So when it comes to, say, diamonds, right? If you can track a diamond from its inception, even when it was dug, then cut, then wholesaled, then sold 10 times, if you try to sell me your diamond watch, I could find the origin of each of those diamonds, right? Make sure that they are of good source, right? See who owned it before you, and be able to pay true value.
Interestingly, we always have that discussion around blockchain and how it enables businesses, and ultimately there's really great markets it's going to evolve. And I think you were telling me the other week around banks and how much they will save if they enabled blockchain and started using it as part of their practice.
Yeah, correct.
What were those figures?
So it's estimated that if banks adopt blockchain technology for the movement of money, by 2020, they will save $30 billion.
And that's just the movement of money. That's not actually exactly everything that they could be using it for. Verification, authenticity, the end user would actually really benefit from it, from an e-wallet, because that's where everything's moving. I mean, ATMs are on the way out of the market.
The Australian economy is banning any transaction over $10,000 in cash. They're trying to digitize everything, so there's more accountability and transparency.
So that's a huge improvement. I mean, that would, blockchain and the way that it could be used could really benefit everybody, even from the small to the big. And we do see that on a day-to-day basis as well. But, moving forward, I think, we've kind of come from two different parts of the industry. You're more tech and me more creative. I think the future of this is a really interesting conversation as to where it's going to go and how do people actually get involved in it, and where do they actually meet the value point. I mean, we've spoken about certain kind of renaissance of this product coming to market, and the way it will change complete environments, and every business will have to engage with it, to the point where there's going to be a purge where all those coins that are out there in the market that are really doing nothing are going to be cleansed out of the market, and we're going to be stuck with your Bitcoin, your basic 4 coins, and then there's going to be a new flux of coins coming into the market, which will be asset backed, because people will need that sustainability, and the vulnerability will be wiped out.
Well, that's right. So, fun fact, almost every single coin that is live and trading is not being used the way that it is intended to be used. As in, coin X comes out with the objective to be used for Y and Z, right? However, no coin is at that stage where it's being used the way it's said it should and will be used. So utility is pretty low as of now, but companies are expanding their horizons. They're opening up to accepting cryptocurrencies, and it's becoming easier and easier. For example, the vice industry is taking a great liking to it, because it's very difficult to move money safely using traditional means. The rates are just too expensive. Companies are charging 15% commission rates to accept a credit card in said industry. So
I think that's like the art world as well. The art world, international art sales are looking to use, and they are using cryptocurrency to make transactions because of obviously cross-border payments and their large payments and authenticity as well. Are they actually sending it to this person across
Correct.
the border? And they can actually verify that. And it's actually enabled that market in a big way.
So on to what you were saying before, people looking to get involved and not getting burnt, pretty much, right? So it's a good question. And that ties in really well with the whole asset-backed cryptocurrencies that we were talking about before too. So if you are a first-time investor into the industry, I would highly recommend going for a stable coin, right? That's asset-backed, and going for the high-risk coins too. You know, hedge your portfolio, hedge your risk, get a coin that cannot hit zero. And a good example of one is T-Coin, which we're working on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that just so happens to be our one of our products that we're working on. But it's quite interesting because they're taking, obviously, they're a partner of ours, and we're taking tech metals and putting them into one coin. You know, like most people don't realize how much cobalt's in a mobile phone, and there's 80% in a battery.
Yeah,
you know, it's
or
the
in a
majority
Tesla.
of the phone, or in a Tesla for that that instance.
Yeah, I know.
And the tin and the gold and etc. And they've kind of brought that together to create one coin that you know is an example for tech metals for the future. So if you want to invest in the technology of the future, this is the baseline, which is that interesting conversation, like we said, that we've been talking about. But you know, kind of that is why they're so important. These asset-backed, you know, currencies and these coins.
Well, just how people who are creating coins are looking at the market and saying, wow, look how much money they are making so easily, so quickly. So are people who are investing in RCOs are thinking the same thing. Look how much money Jason made so quickly, so easily. So big risk on both sides of the market. One, of people just chucking money into ICOs. And Australia lost like 2 million, 20 million the last year just on fake ICOs. And so are the coin makers just pumping money into trying to make the next coin that they can leverage off of.
We see that a lot from Eastern Europe and you know, business plans and concepts, and you know, just pushing them out there to see what kind of traction they get, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you invest in a good one?
It's actually not too difficult, man. I mean, what I do personally is, first of all, I look at the team. Team is very important, right? Like you were saying before, companies are just getting whoever they can. I've seen a few ICOs that have a porn star on the team, okay? That's their media leverage. Not cool, right? I'm not saying that those ICOs are bad, but that's how desperate people are getting. So team is obviously a very important one. Bells and whistles is now an issue because ICOs that aren't tech heavy, therefore aren't as impressive tech-wise, have a lot of bells and whistles.
On that point, they come up with all those features that actually don't mean anything.
Correct.
They don't solve anything because the actual root of it is, you know, going back to transparency, the ease of authentication, you know, the payment, the simple parts to it that can really enhance a business that usually you have to spend a lot of money developing or managing, and time can be sorted. But people think if you add a, you know, friendship button, you know, that can become, you know, valuable. Which is the fact.
Yeah, I mean, how many clients do we get that come to us that say, I want to build this and this and this on the blockchain, and we have to turn around and say, decent idea, but wrong for the blockchain. That's not what the blockchain should be leveraged for. You know, having a centralized database, doing it old school on AWS or whatever, is much better, much cheaper, much easier. You know, just because there's a lot of hype involved in the blockchain, that is a buzzword. Like, for example, last year a company on the JSE, I think it was, added crypto in their name. I think they sold iced tea or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And their share price went up hundreds of % the next day, you know?
Yeah.
So leveraging that, yes, is good. Timing is very important, yes, too. But don't just build it for the sake of it. Otherwise, you're going down the exact same route as the app industry, which has had its run and is now starting to pull back as the economy is heading towards a correction, to put politely, and this wasteful spending on useless technology will cease.
And I totally agree on that note. Like, I think that a lot of what I've learned over the last 10 years is a lot of useful technology being developed for no reason, you know, and I think that that's why I've come to this phase of blockchain, and I've realized that the power of it and the multi-diversity of it is just amazing, and how simple it can actually change a marketplace. You know, I think we had the conversation as well around the actual blockchain being able to evolve a business into technology rather than a business actually using technology. So they're a part of technology and it's embedded around them rather than them using it as tools. Which I really like that concept. You know, I'm more of a marketeer than you are. You're the tech brains behind the operation, but from a marketing point of view, I mean, that makes a lot more sense to me, you know, and how that would actually evolve in a business. So yeah, look, and I think going back to the original question I gave you was about, you know, investing into an ICO. I think there's a lot of really good ideas out there that have done very, very well, which we've seen and we've discussed. But I think there's almost needs to be a correction in this market now for true value to stand out. And I mean, like, out of the hundreds of ICOs that we've seen, I think there's only about 5 that we really would back. I think there's a lot that have been built that are successful. I mean, I love that phone call that you got the other day where they built a great ICO and raised all this cash, and they've got a full tech team, but they couldn't build the actual product.
That's right.
And that just shows how vulnerable that is. So, you know, I mean, vetting these products is something that, you know, we like to do. And I think it's really important in understanding what you want out of a product rather than just looking at it going, that's a great idea. You've got to be part of it. Think of yourself as part of the team, because otherwise you'll miss the small corrections that need to be invested in, and you know it just becomes risk mitigation. And so yeah, that's a very interesting point that I think, you know, we've learnt as well.
That's right. And soon are the days where we can actually spend our Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies on everyday things, like these glasses of whiskey.
Like these glasses of whiskey.
Yeah,
do you
think space takes Bitcoin?
I have no idea, but I like that whole analogy of one day. It's not going to be one day. It's just a matter of when, really. I think. I mean, one day when, but I think it's a matter of just time, and I think it's a matter of time when, you know, you see a lot of the bigger companies wanting to adopt and grow into this market, and they actually make it part of their infrastructure and simplify themselves. I think it'll be a very coming day for everybody. You know, considering, I mean, the reason why it's around is for disruption, and it's funny because it's ending up enabling the people that were really frustrated with it in the first place.
That's right.
So yeah, great. Yeah.
By the way, do you want to give me $10,000? This is a real Bitcoin.
I think it's at like 6,000 now, so I think it's a waste of time. It's gone back up?
Yeah, it's 8,300 US.
Well, if it was real, I would.
Yeah, if anyone tries to sell you one of these,
don't buy it.
This is not a Bitcoin.
We've met a lot of people that have wanted to have thought it was real, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's a correction in itself. Don't buy physical back Bitcoin or cryptocurrency.
We use our hardware wallets to store our cryptos, which is what everyone should do. But that is basically a USB drive that disconnects your PIN to access your wallet. To send money out of your wallet, you need a PIN. So we save that PIN offline on a USB. So technically, you could turn this into a USB and store your PIN on here. But if someone tries to sell you this, just say no.
Thanks for the Tech 101. But yeah, no, it's been good chatting, mate. And I look forward to the journeys ahead in this very unknown but very validated market at the same time. And I think the people that really want this to happen are the people that have been in technology for 10 plus years and that really want to see this great day where, you know, people are really utilizing this in their everyday needs to enable better business, better growth, better transparency, and better, more dynamic businesses.
Bottom line is, cryptocurrencies may be a fad. They potentially are the biggest bubble in the world. I think they actually are. We've already surpassed the second and third biggest. However, the blockchain itself is a revolution. It's been around for a long time. This is nothing new. It's just being adopted more and accepted more. People are realizing that this is taking the power back into the masses' hands.
And I mean, that's to say for asset-backed coins and tokens as well.
Asset-backed are for sure the most important segment of cryptocurrencies in the next few years.
Well, lastly,
heads and tails, Bitcoin or Litecoin?
I'll go Litecoin. Oh,
You
it's
win.
Litecoin for me. It's been good chatting. It always is. And I hope we inform some people around blockchain and its future.
Yep. There's a lot of money to be made, a lot of money to be lost. Don't miss the boat and look back and say, I should have been a part of it. Courses will be held studying what we're going through. These insane booms, market manipulation, all these things will not be seen again for a long time.
And I think ultimately vet everything you're going to go into. And if you don't know how to vet something and you want to go into something, find somebody who knows how to vet a product and understands what that product should be doing in that particular space, whether it could be gardening and distribution of flowers or plants, whether it could be diamonds, whether it could be cars. Make sure you know what you're getting in bed with and how to understand why that's going to affect the market, because a lot of these products are fads and they're feature centric, which doesn't make them good. So, cool.
Correct.
Enjoyed it. Cheers.